Picture the scene. You are at the table, the Stammtisch, the office kitchen, a family dinner, and someone leans in and says, well, of course, the model hallucinated. So now we are looking at a RAG setup with a bigger context window. And everyone nods, and you nod too, because nodding is safer than asking. Here is the good news. That sentence is not clever. It is just 5 or 6 words you have not been handed yet. By the end of this lesson, you will have them, and that exact sentence will sound completely ordinary. No code, no math, just the words, each one in plain language with one example. Here is what you will walk away with. The roughly 18 words that actually come up when people talk about AI, grouped so you know which ones matter most. One plain sentence for each and one everyday example. And the honest sorting, which 3 or 4 words carry almost every conversation and which ones are just decoration you can let float past you. You do not need to memorize all 18, truly. 3 or 4 will carry you through nearly any conversation you will ever be in. Let us go. One honest answer before we start, because learn some vocabulary is not on its own a thrilling promise. The reason these words are worth 10 minutes is not that they make you sound clever at dinner. It is that once you have them, the marketing stops working on you. Now with AI only impresses the person who cannot ask the next question. Which kind, doing what, and how would we know if it were wrong? The words in this lesson are exactly what let you ask that question. So everything here is really one quiet skill in disguise, telling the substance from the sticker. Start with 6. If you remember only these, you are already in the conversation. Model. The model is the actual AI program, the thing doing the work when you type something in. Claude is a model made by a company called Anthropic. ChatGPT runs on a model called GPT. Different companies, same basic idea. The model is the engine. Prompt. The prompt is simply what you type in. Write me a polite email about a late delivery. That is a prompt. It is not a technical thing. It is just your request in plain words. Response or output, what comes back. The model reads your prompt and sends a response. And you will hear both words used for the same thing. Token. This is the one that sounds technical and is not. A token is just how the AI counts text. Roughly a word, sometimes a piece of a word. Why does anyone care? Because most AI services charge by the token. So when someone talks about cost, they are really counting tokens. That is the only reason it comes up. Hallucination. This is the most important word in the whole lesson, so slow down here. A hallucination is when the AI says something false while sounding completely confident. It does not lie on purpose. It has no idea it is wrong. It simply produced text that looked right. It happens because the model is built to produce text that fits, not text it has checked. So a smooth wrong answer is just as easy for it to write as a smooth right one. Remember this one word? It is the single thing that protects you. And it is why you never take a confident answer about facts, names, or numbers without a second look. Context window, how much the AI can hold in its head at once, in a single conversation. Think of it as the size of its short-term memory. For this chat, a small window is like talking to someone who only remembers the last few minutes. A large one is like someone who remembers the whole afternoon. When a conversation gets very long, the earliest parts start to slip out of view. So, model, prompt, response, token, hallucination, context window, 6 words. With those, you can follow most of what gets said. A second tier, good to recognize, not essential. Training, how the model learned in one big, expensive, one-time process long before you ever touched it. Training already happened. You are just using the result. Inference, the flip side, what happens each time you actually use it. Every message you send and answer you get is one inference. Training is the school years. Inference is the model doing its day job. Fine-tuning. A smaller second round of training to make a model good at one specific thing. Same model, given a specialty. API. The doorway one piece of software uses to talk to another. When an app uses the API, it means the app is quietly calling the AI in the background to do something for you. RAG, it means the AI looks something up before it answers instead of relying only on memory. It is the difference between answering from memory and answering after a quick look at the file. It exists mostly to reduce that hallucination problem from a minute ago. Agent, an AI that can take actions, not just talk. A chatbot tells you about flights. An agent could actually book one. LLM, short for large language model. It is the specific kind of AI behind ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. When someone says AI in an office today, they almost always mean an LLM. A last handful. Recognize them, then relax. Multimodal. A eye that handles more than just text. Images, sound, the lot. Gemini is multimodal. You can show it a photo and ask about it. Open source versus closed source. Who controls the model? Open source means anyone can download and run it. Closed source means only the company can. A question of ownership, not of quality. Local versus cloud, where the model actually runs. Local means on your own computer, private, but you need a strong machine. Cloud means on their servers, faster, but your text travels to them. That trade-off, privacy against convenience, is the whole point. BYOK, bring your own key. You plug in your own AI subscription instead of paying through the app. It comes up around privacy and cost. Vibe coding, a half-joke term for I built it by chatting with the AI and somehow it works. You will hear it, usually with a smile. You never need to use it. Now let us prove it works. Back at the table, someone says, we tried an LLM through the API to summarize customer feedback. The prompts were fine, but the model hallucinated a few quotes that did not exist. The context window is too small for the whole dataset, so we are thinking about a RAG setup instead of fine-tuning. A week ago, that was noise. Now, you can follow every piece. An LLM, the text kind of AI. Through the API, wired into their software, it made up quotes, a hallucination. The context window is too small. Its short-term memory cannot hold it all. So RAG, instead of fine-tuning, let it look things up rather than retrain it. You may have no opinion on their decision, but you are in the conversation. That is the win. 3 small things to carry with you. First, LLM and AI are not technically the same, but in 2026, people use them as if they were. AI is the big umbrella. An LLM is one kind under it. When a colleague says, let us use AI for this, they almost always mean an LLM. Knowing that quietly saves you a lot of confusion. Second, token is the word that turns up whenever money does. Most services bill by the token. So when someone frets about costs, they are counting tokens. It is a billing word more than a tech word. Third, agent is the most stretched word of the year. The honest test. If the thing only chats, it is a chatbot. If it can actually do something on your behalf, book, send, schedule, then it is an agent. Most agents you will be shown are chatbots in a nicer jacket. And now the part this channel always insists on. You do not need to memorize all 18. You do not need to know how tokenization works under the hood, or what attention means mathematically, or why the context window has a hard limit. Those are fascinating to the engineers who build this. They are not required to sit at the table and follow along. Here is the quiet truth again. The confident-sounding people around you mostly know 3 or 4 of these words too. They simply picked them up a little earlier. The vocabulary was always the gate, never the engineering. And if a word floats past that you have not heard, that is fine. You are allowed to simply ask. What does that mean? In plain terms. The people worth talking to will tell you. If you would like all 18 in writing, each with its plain definition and an example, the companion document for this lesson is on our resources page, Faceless, YouTube, Automation, HQ, stammtisch.com/resources. Free, no email, nothing to sign up for. You just download it and keep it. Next time, in Lesson 3, we get practical about what this technology can actually do well and where it quietly falls on its face while sounding completely sure of itself. That is the lesson that keeps you out of trouble. And if you would ever rather have someone walk you through this in a real one-on-one conversation than on your own, that option exists too. No pressure. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. We had an opinion on which words matter. We shared it. Which ones you keep is entirely up to you.